Hi, I'm Mark Anthony Artoraldo, and I will present the descriptive design in research. Descriptive research design. Descriptive, descriptive research studies are those research studies which are concerned with describing the characteristics of a particular individual or a group of individuals. Then, the descriptive research design is used when the purpose of study is to learn who, what, when, where, and how of a variable. The researcher must be able to clearly define what he wants to measure and must find adequate methods for measuring it along with clear-cut definition of populations. He wants to study, therefore, it must be well planned. That's according to Kotary and Garg, 2019. The descriptive research design must be designed in an unbiased, reliable, and rigid manner. The objectives of descriptive research are the following: to describe the characteristic of some relevant group like adolescents, humanities, students, and etc. To study the proportion of populations having particular traits like number of students volunteered for social services, and to make prediction related to a particular phenomenon like what will be growth of literacy in the suburbs of a metropolitan city. Then, introduction to the descriptive research. The descriptive research designs are those studies which are concerned with describing the characteristics of a particular individual or of a group. Studies concerned with specific predictions, with narrations of facts and characteristics concerning individuals, group, or situations are all examples of descriptive research design. In descriptive research, the researcher must be able to define clearly what he wants to measure and must find adequate methods for measuring it all it along with a clear-cut definitions of populations he wants to study. The six W's of descriptive research designs are who, what, when, where, why, and way. Who. Who is the part of the study or the subject. Then what. What information is to be collected, the content. Then when. When is the information to be collected? That is time. Then where. Where should be where should the respondent be contacted? The place. Then why. Why is the information being obtained? That is the objectives. And the last one is way. Way obtaining the informations. That will be the method of descriptive research design. Next, the types of descriptive research designs. First is descriptive survey. This type is suitable wherever the subjects vary among themselves and one is interested to know the extent to which different conditions and situations are obtained among these subjects. The word survey signifies the gathering of data regarding present conditions, and a survey is useful in two ways. First is providing the value of facts. The second one is focusing attention on the most important things to be reported. In this type of survey, it is necessary to determine the, the psychological and social aspects of research by way of applications or implementations of evidence to recognize between facts and influence. Example of descriptive survey. A researcher wants to determine the job-related problems and job performance of staff nurses in private and government hospitals in the city and province of Iloilo. He uses a questionnaire as his research instrument, and each item in the questionnaire for job-related problems may be related, rated according to four levels to be chosen by the subjects or respondents. Namely, number four is that very serious problem. The three serious problems. The two is fairly serious problem, and number one is not a problem at all. From the data gathered, the researchers tabulates and analyzes and interprets data. Then he proves that the fact gathered area of value to the researcher in particular and to the subject in general. He should then focus his attention to the most serious job-related problems met by staff nurses. Then the second is the descriptive normative survey. Good and Skates, year 1972, stress that the term normative is sometimes used because surveys are frequently made to ascertain the normal or typical condition for practice, or to compare local test results with state or national norm. In the descriptive normative surveys, the results or the findings of the study should be compared with the norm. Example of descriptive normative survey. A researcher wishes to conduct a study on the English achievement of fourth-year secondary students at the state colleges and universities in Region 7, which is the Central Visayas. An achievement test is the instrument used to gather the data. The results of the test are then compared with the regional norm. If the achievement of the students is one standard deviations above the mean, this means their achievement is very satisfactory. If within the mean, satisfactory, and one standard deviation below the mean, unsatisfactory, and they need improvement. And third types of descriptive research design is descriptive status. This approach to problem solving seeks to answer questions to real facts relating to existing conditions. This is a technique of quantitative descriptions which determines the prevailing condition in a group of cases chosen for study. Several studies stress the current conditions with the assumptions that things will change. They cover many traits or characteristics of the group. Example of descriptive status. A researcher wishes to conduct a study on the socioeconomic status and performances of instructors and professors of state universities and colleges in Region 9, that is the Western Mindanao. He uses a questionnaire as instrument to gather data and request the subjects of the study to answer it. Based on the responses, the researcher can determine the socioeconomic status and performance of SOCs, university and professors in Region 9. Whether the higher the socioeconomic status is, the higher the performance will be, or the lower the socioeconomic status is, the lower the performance will be. Then, descriptive analysis. This method determines or describes the nature of an object by separating it into its parts. Its purpose is to discover the nature of things. The researcher should determine the compositions and structure, substructure that occurs as units with the larger structures. Example of descriptive analysis. A researcher wishes to conduct a study on the job analysis of personnel in government and private hospitals in Region 6, that will be the Western Visayas. He devises a questionnaire to analyze the job of the subjects of similar positions, functions, and responsibilities and with the same salary. Then, descriptive, descriptive classification. This method is employed in natural sciences subjects. The specimens collected are classified from phylum to species. To illustrate, an investigator wishes to conduct a taxonomic study of sea urchins in the municipal waters of Zamboanga del Norte. He collects from different research stations and then identifies and classifies them according to classes and species. Descriptive evaluative. This design is to appraise carefully the worthiness of the current study. To illustrate, the researcher wishes to conduct a study uh, on evaluations of an implementation of WOW, War on Waste, in the division of Zamboanga del Norte. He devises a questionnaire which evaluates the implementation of WOW and requests the division and district supervisors, principals, head teachers, and teachers as subject of the study to respond on it. Descriptive comparative. This is a design where the researcher considers two variables and establishes a formal procedure to compare and conclude that one is better than the other if significant differences exist. Example of descriptive comparative. A researcher wishes to conduct a study on the effectiveness of teaching English using rhetoric and content-based approaches to Bachelor of Computer Technology students at the Northern Iloilo Polytechnic State College. He uses tests as research instrument. All things are held constant, except on the approaches of teaching use. The two variables are rhetoric and content-based approaches. The statistical tool used is the z-test if the significant difference exists. If it means an approach is better than the other. With no significant difference, the two approaches are almost the same. Then, correlation survey. This is the design to determine the relationships of two variables x and y, whether the relationship is perfect, very high, high, mark or moderate, slight or negligible, perfect positive correlation with a value of 1.0 seldom happens. Same with perfect negative correlations. In perfect positive correlations, all the individuals' performances in X and Y have the same positions. If he taps in test X and Y have the same positions. If he taps in test X, he also taps in the test Y. If he is lowest in test X, he is likely lowest in test Y. In perfect negative correlation, all the individual performances in X and Y have the opposite positions. If he taps in test X, he is lowest in test Y. If he is lowest in test X, he taps in test Y. Example of correlation survey. The researcher wishes to correlate the performance between English and mathematics of freshman nursing students in the College of Nursing at the Central Philippine University, Iloilo City. He uses tests as a research instrument in gathering data and scattergram as the statistical tool used to determine the correlations between X and Y. Longitudinal survey. This involved much time allotted to investigations of the same subjects of two or more points in time. To illustrate, a researcher wishes to set up a mathematics achievement pattern to secondary students, ages 13 to 16. He takes a group of 13-year-old boys and girls and records their mathematics achievements over regular intervals. The researcher follows up this work until they reach 16 years old. Based on the data gathered, the investigator sets up the mathematics achievement pattern from the same group of students investigated over a long period of time. And I think it concludes my report. Thank you for listening and keep safe, everyone.